that's a very sick situation that we're in.
How do we fix this? I mean, there's so much on the news these days that just makes my head spin. The awarding of $55 million to Erin Andrews for being photographed naked in her hotel room. You heard about this?
Yeah, I did. What do you think about
$55 million? My gosh.
Yeah.
I know that when an airplane goes down and you lose a loved one, I think the airline pays you something like $70,000.
Wow.
How could that be? How could it be? How could it be? What an awful injustice, miscarriage of justice. And it was sickening. Look, the idea that this woman's privacy was violated in such a public way is awful. Is it $55 million awful? I don't think so.
No.
I don't think so. And it was insulting, honestly. There are people whose children were, I know you're thinking the kids who were murdered in Chicago by police. These families don't get big bucks.
No,
they don't get big bucks.
Yeah, I thought it was crazy. I mean, what did the 9/11 victims' families get? Did any of them get $55 million?
No, none of them.
Yeah, I think that's absolutely insane. I mean, absolutely insane. Maybe half a million, maybe $1 million. But 55. I mean, are you kidding me? 50. I mean, I'm thinking $55 million because somebody saw you naked. I mean, I don't. Then please take a picture of me naked. I'll take 2 pictures, for a tenth of the money.
No, I think people would pay $55 million to not have to see us naked.
Exactly. There you go. That's fine with me. Whatever as long as you're paying, I'm okay with that. I admit I don't understand it.
It's an appalling number, and I don't even know I don't know what it says about our judicial system that a court of law would award $55 million to this woman because photos are I don't even know what to say. I'm so horrified at this just blatant miscarriage of justice. I don't know what the right number is. What is your modesty? What is your privacy worth to you? I don't know. But $55 million seems so wrong. It just seems so wrong. It was an awful thing to read about, an awful thing to hear. And of course, my thinking was, my God, there are people who lost their lost loved ones, not just had their loved ones' privacy violated, but had loved ones died, murdered, and they are not in line for this sort of compensation. So it was an awful thing to read. Awful thing to read.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, there are people who've spent 30 years in prison for crimes they did not commit, who don't get anything, or who get a few $1,000s. I don't understand that.
To me. That is probably the most upsetting story. The most upsetting stories that you ever read are people who are incarcerated for decades, who lose their lives for decades for crimes they didn't commit.
Just know too, there are thousands of people that are currently in prison right now for crimes they didn't commit. So just know, every time we see one, in my mind, I'm seeing the other 400 or 500 that we didn't get. Because these people that were discovered, they had people work on their cases for years.
Right.
They were fortunate enough. Remember, these agencies that work on these cases, they get stacks of applications from people saying, "I didn't do it. Can you help me?" So I think that we should allocate a few $1 billion for justice. Just a few $1 billion we spend money on everything else. A few $1 billion to go through the cases of at least the majority of the people who asked for a review, just to make sure. Because in Chicago, there was a long period of time where they had this old warehouse where it was proven the police would take defendants, mostly black, or suspects, and they would take them there and they just beat them until they confessed to anything. And so to me, that should lead you to question the entire system. It's like if you eat a chicken, it has salmonella in it, you got to go back to the factory and you got to look at all the chickens coming out of that factory. You can't just say, well, we found one bad chicken, so now all the chickens are clean. You don't do that. So ultimately, I think it's crazy. But I cut you off. I apologize.